Hi there, thank you for watching Green Mango's channel. Today I'm super excited to share with you the Vietnamese favorite dish is pho. Pho is the Vietnamese beef noodle. It's so famous that every time I introduce this to people that I'm Vietnamese, the first question they will ask me is, do you know how to make pho? So I'm going to share with you today how to make pho. Come on, let's get started. First, we're going to clean the bones and the meat. You can use any kind of beef bones, but for today we're going to use the beef knuckle bones, the oxtails, and as for the meat, we're going to use the brisket. Since the meat was in the freezer, I'm washing these to kind of help defrosting them first. It's really hard to find like fresh meat and bones over here because we kind of go to grocery only once a week and then or twice a week, and then we'll, like whenever we have time, then we cook. Therefore most of the time we get frozen meat. So you can see like this brisket right here is still frozen, but that's why I'm kind of rinsing it with the water. Now I'm just gonna go through the beef, the bones again, to see if there's too much excess fat, to kind of trim them out. I mean, some people like their broth to be lots of fat, but I like to be more on the healthy side, so try to trim out as much fat as possible. And this is just salt. We'll just sprinkle the salt to help clean the bones and the meat. Just rub them, give them some love. Just rinse it with water. Alright, so this is the boiling water that I prepared earlier while I was washing the bones. As far as the quantity, please refer to the description below. Now the water is boiled, we're just going to put all these bones and meat into the boiling water. It's just another process for cleaning. Adding all the bones into the hot water, and we're gonna be letting it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes, just until we see all that impurity of the bone out. And you'll see what I mean, all that dark foam you'll see in a little bit. See, it has been about 5 minutes or so. So I'm gonna dump out all that yucky water out. It's very hot, so please be careful. Now just run it with cold water and we'll rinse through the bones again. Since the water was so hot, or the bone was too hot, I let it run with cold water for a little bit before I touch the bones, because I don't want to burn my fingers. So I kind of take each individual bones and rinse it through. Alright, so now we got all that cleaned. I'm just going through each individual bones again just to see if there's extra fat, like this brisket, some fat right there I'm cutting out. The brisket has been hard to find, so this is the only piece that we were able to find, but hopefully you can get a better piece. Alright, so that process is done. Now we're going to wash this round eye. This is the beef that we're going to be using at the end when everything is cooked. But since I'm cleaning the meat, I like to prepare all of them at once, and then I put this meat into the fridge after I wash them and slicing them. So we try to slice the round eye beef as thin as possible. So that way when you pour it over with the broth, it will cook in the bowl. You can use any kind of beef technically. This is round eye, but you can also use the beef shank. Sorry, not the beef shank, but the Angus beef, or any kind of steak that you like. Another type of meat that we're going to use, I don't know, you can call it meat, but it's actually a tendon. This is really good for you, a lot of collagen. Good for your skin. So I'm just washing it with salt. Making pho is a process, however, is well worth it. So make sure that when you cook the tendon, make sure you do it in a separate pot. Do not put it in the same pot with the broth, because it will put out that collagen texture is very thickened, and you wouldn't like that to be in your broth. Now this is a new pot of water that we're going to prepare for the broth. You're just going to have it on the high heat first. This is the ingredient for the fragrance: the ginger, the onions, and the spices. So we're going to cut out the onion. Clean them well. And the ginger roots. I like to trim out the skin because the roots is under the ground and it's very, sometimes you can see some dirt on there, so I like to get out the skin. And that's the spices that we're going to be using today. You can see it's already prepared in the package. It's very nice and convenient. See, there's star anise on there, the cinnamon stick, and some basil seed, and coriander seed. Is that how you call it? It's all the spices. When you go to the grocery store, you just look for pho spices, and that's what you're gonna get. Alright, so this, I'm taking out the brisket first because I don't want them to be overcooked. So I cooked it for about 45 minutes or so. Now we're just chopping out the onion and the ginger root, so that way we can start grilling them for the fragrance of the broth. Oh, also on the other side, the tendons is cooked, so we're going to take out the tendons as well. You just have to be multitask with this recipe. Okay, now we're ready to grill the onion. Let's put them on a pan on the high heat. Place them on there until you see them turning brown, or until you can start smelling that beautiful aroma that will make your stomach growl. So it's turning brown now. We can start taking them out. Yeah, that's better. Take them all at once. Now we're going to put all the spices on the pan to grill them. Kind of roasting them, actually, another word. Beautiful fragrance that you will smell. Delicious fragrance. Then we'll put it in the tea bag. That bag that came with the package as well. If you don't have the bag or it doesn't come in a package like that, you can always wrap it in a cheesecloth and tie it really tight. Now all the spices are ready. This is rock candy. I'm gonna add it to the broth. So as the broth was shimmering, please make sure you take out all those foam that are on the top of the broth to keep the broth clear, nice and clear. So after about 2 to 3 hours, the broth has been shimmered. We'll take out the onion, put in the rock candy, and the salt. Add in the spices. You don't want to add the spices too early because the fragrance will not be as good, that wouldn't be as strong. It's better to do it like about 30 minutes before the broth is ready to eat. Now we're preparing for the garnishes. seesaw tooth. I think that's what I call that. Herbs, and then basil, Thai basil. I think it's not the name, it's coriander. Yes, coriander herb. Green onions or scallion. Just gonna chop them up really thin. Onion. Just slice thinly, and lime. This in the description, so please refer to it. So this is the beef meatball. You can get this at the grocery store, the Asian grocery store. It's already made for you. As you can see, the broth is nice and clear. Don't forget to add in the fish sauce. Here's the brisket. Like I said earlier, we didn't get the best piece, but hey, we got what we can have. And the tendon, we like to thin them, slice them thinly. The beef ball is already cooked, so you don't have to leave it in there too long. I would say about 10 minutes is good because you don't want to overcook them. This is a fresh rice stick noodle for pho. There's many different kinds that you can buy that you can use, but I like to use this kind because it's quicker, easier to make. You boil the water and then you just put them in for about a minute or so. Make sure you use the chopsticks to stir them even so that way they can cook evenly. We'll just kind of rinse it with water after it's cooked. This is the sauce that we're going to be using, the fish sauce, the hoisin sauce, and sriracha. Of course, we love spicy, so we add extra chili pepper on our sauce bowl. So I'm gonna make two separate sauce. One which is the fish sauce, and this one I like to make my special sauce. I add the hoisin and the sriracha. Now add a little bit of fish sauce in there. And a little bit of lime. Just mix them up. Alright, so all the meat is ready. That's the brown eye beef that I cut earlier. There's the tendons, the brisket, and the beef ball, and all the garnishes. Alright, now we're gonna assemble the bowl, the pho bowl. First, we're gonna add the noodles. I'm on a diet, so I'm not gonna try to add too much in my bowl. Alright, so the brisket, you're just gonna add all the meat. Beef balls. Which one should I do next? Alright, we can do with the round eye. So try to lay them very thin on the bowl. Make sure you do a single layer, so that way when you pour the broth over, it will cook the beef. Tendons. Alright, we're gonna add the broth. And make sure the broth is boiling when you do this, when you put it in the bowl. Yeah, make sure you pour it over right on the raw meat. You see how right when I put it in the broth, you can see the beef turning the color, starting to cook already. It looks delicious. I can't wait. Get a little bit of fat there. Yum, yum, yum. And some thinly sliced onion that I mixed with the vinegar and water to help it stay crispy. And cilantro. And scallion. Add some of the sea salt, tooth herb or the coriander, and some bean sprout and Thai basil. I think I'm ready to eat. Oh, forgot the sauce. Hoisin and Siracha. I think my bowl is complete now. Oh, you see that smoke coming up? That's how you gotta eat your pho. It has to be smoky hot. Alrighty, here's my favorite part, guys. We're gonna taste the food that we made, right? After we put all that hard work into it, we had to give it a try. I'm gonna try it and then I'll let you know how it tastes. I always like to actually have a little bit of soup first before I eat the noodles. You can taste that all the spices of the basil seed, of the cinnamon, and the star anise, all those flavor that pho is unique for pho. You can taste all that. And then take a bite of the noodles. The noodle tastes just right. It's not overcooked or undercooked. And then the meat. I always dip the meat into the sauce. This is my favorite sauce that I eat. It's wonderful. Please give this recipe a try. I am trying my best to show you in details what I do for this recipe. I hope that you will be successful in your first try. If not, then just ask me questions, okay? Thank you so much. Please give me a thumb up and subscribe. See you next time.